Hi, I'm Lauren.
Hi, I'm Lacey.
I'm Anne Marie.
I'm Grace.
I'm Courtney.
I'm Lindsay.
Did you know that America is one of 3 countries globally that doesn't guarantee paid leave for new and expectant mothers? TheAtlantic.com tells us that we share this sad distinction with the 2 undeveloped nations of Papua New Guinea and Suriname. My name is Stephen Hahn, and today I would like to speak with you about America's need to push for new legislation regarding some type of paid leave for new and expectant mothers. MomsRising.org tells us the heartbreaking story about a new mother named Selena. Selena, like many mothers in the U.S., only planned on missing work for a couple of days to deliver her baby. She had no type of maternity leave provided by her job. Selena and her husband simply couldn't afford her to miss work for an extended amount of time. Well, unfortunately, Selena had her baby 6 weeks early. She had her baby boy Connor on Thursday and was actually dismissed from the hospital on Friday. Connor was born premature and had to be rushed to the neonatal intensive care unit, where he had to stay in the hospital for an additional 2.5 weeks. Selena at that point had already exhausted all of her finances and had to return to work the following Monday. Connor was left in the hospital by himself. No mother should be faced with the decision of abandoning her newborn in the hospital and returning to work, or having to stay behind with her child and exhausting all of her finances. Selena's story is not an uncommon one. It actually happens a lot more than you would think. One of the major problems is that employers in the U.S. have not changed their policies as the American family dynamic has changed over time. Take a look back at the 1950s American family. WashingtonPost.com tells us that at that time, 65% of families actually consisted of a father and a full-time stay-at-home mother. That's over 6 out of 10 families with a full-time stay-at-home mother. Well, as you all know, times have changed. QSocialTrends.org tells us the percentage of all stay-at-home mothers since the 1950s has plummeted dramatically and has actually just been on the rise recently. As of today, it sits at 29%, which is actually less than 3 out of 10 households with a full-time stay-at-home mother. So out of this new norm for Americans arises a problem that has not been addressed by employers or our government. There became a need for the introduction of policies that provide paid parental leave for employees so that parents can spend the time they need with their newborns at such a critical time in their development. If there was a positive aspect of this whole situation, it is that since the U.S. is the last of the developed countries to implement some type of program, they have plenty of models to look at to see which one works best. Today.com tells us that the International Labor Organization, which was formed by the United Nations, recommends a minimum of 14 weeks off at 2/3 your normal pay rate, and actually recommends 18 weeks and can support up to 24. What's mandatory in the U.S. is 0 weeks. Many of you may think that this policy seems unrealistic, but this could actually be quite affordable to everyone involved. The system that all developed countries use is actually similar to the American Social Security system. Here's the way it works. All employees have a minimal part of their check withheld each week. This would be a program regulated by the government and would follow you around from job to job. You would pay into it until you retire to keep all of your withholdings low. A similar plan is actually being proposed in New York right now. The proposed withholding per week would be a measly 45 cents. Since such a solution already exists, how come it hasn't been put into effect nationally? Research time and time again outlines the positive effects of granting parental leave to all parties. MomsRising.org tells us that paid leave improves worker retention levels, which saves employers money due to lower turnover costs. So these programs actually save people jobs and keep employers happy. A different study says that 25% of all poverty spells in the U.S. are attributed to the birth of a new child. These programs would actually decrease poverty significantly. Another study shows that paid family leave correlates to a decrease in infant mortality by 20%. That's 1 in 5 deaths attributed to this. These programs would save lives. So what can we do to get these programs put into place? Always be sure to go out and vote in all elections. Especially go out to vote if one of these proposals is put on the ballot. If no such proposals are put on the ballot or coming up, you could write your state or nationally elected officials. These representatives are put into office to represent us, the people. If enough of us speak up, then our voices have to be heard. This has gone on long enough. We need to catch up with the rest of the world and provide mothers with the time they need with their newborns.